am a preservation archaeologist, and my focus is on teaching people how people lived prehistorically. By studying what I'm doing helps us understand what we're looking at archaeologically. So I am an archaeologist, and when we go out and we excavate a site, we find all these artifacts in the ground, buried in the dirt. We excavate them.
The past has always, since his childhood, drawn Alan to the earth and below its surface. As we join him in preparing to hunt a mammoth at a previous kill site in southeastern Arizona, we learn something we'd hoped was true among archaeologists. Alan lets hard evidence guide him in attempting to understand and then replicate the objects and methods of the distant past, inserting facts where it would be easy to let romance and mythology take over. This approach underpins his personal and professional code, even as there's still room for theories and imagination to immerse his students and the broader community in understanding how our predecessors lived.
In the mammoth sites.
We all have beliefs, values, and priorities, even if we don't recognize them. And how do they show up? They show up in the actions that we bring to the world. Our hopes, our dreams, all the things that we want to achieve become real based on what we do, not what we say. Our codes, then, are the destiny-defining rules that we carry, and they show up in what we do, how we treat ourselves, how we treat them, how we treat the world around us. That's what matters.
Being a Navajo woman, we're very, very strong. We're very, very mentally strong.
Chef Nella is out to take on the world of elevated cuisine, but never leaving her Navajo heritage and people behind. Cooking together at a reservation health center, it becomes apparent. Learning from the past and then taking these lessons to others for the future. These are embraced in her code. So is cuisine that makes the most of what's at hand, including the fruits of foraging and farming. Better living, it starts with the belief in the healing power of food and community.
And you're going to be a matrix to somebody else. So you have to practice that being so you're ready to be that person one day.
The idea of turning beliefs, values, and priorities into a written code, something we could grab onto, is nothing new. 1700 BC, King Hammurabi created what has been known as the Code. 4,130 characters of cuneiform text engraved on a 7-foot-tall granite column. Everybody could see it, everybody could know it. Even if we don't put them on a 7-foot-tall granite column, our code should be engraved in our hearts. Rules that we live by, that we make decisions by.
Are you warm? Are you comfortable? Do you have a warm blanket? Are you sitting in a chair or a couch? Make sure you surround yourselves by your loved ones, because it's going to get a little chilly.
Learn to fix. All will fail in time. It's part of the code a polar adventurer Erik Larson has had to stick to, not only to succeed in historic, unsupported expeditions to both poles, but simply to come back alive. With a well-honed kit of parts, materials, and tools, Erik recognizes the extra weight it adds to the ski-pulled sled isn't a hindrance to his progress. As he's shared with dozens in polar training classes, the code creates its own rules. That's the kind of disciplined thinking that's kept him going, even through the diagnosis, treatment, and life consequences of cancer in the past 5 years.
May be the last of its kind.
Codes do not have to be written to be real. In fact, the Code of the West, which was adopted in the late 19th century, was only written down in the 20th century. Now, there's plenty of room for manipulation of taking advantage of using them as an excuse. What's important is that the society, the culture, the community adopts them as a standard and holds to it. Sometimes they'll show up as laws, but oftentimes they're just the ways we go through life to respect ourselves, others, our society, and the world.
There's been a lot of loaves gone through these hands right here. I've been baking bread for almost 34 years. I'd say a couple million loaves. In the garage, I made about 470,000 breads. I kept some pretty decent records. So just in that garage alone, 500,000 breads that were made in that 500 square feet of space.
For over 30 years, Don has been baking bread. One of his destiny-defining codes or rules to live by is about patience. He's learned to let the microbes in his sourdough bread guide his process, create their own rhythm, and determine his timing. For a person who seems to have it all under control, this is a crucial and humbling lesson. One that comes from an applauded James Beard award-winning baker who's seeing accelerating success from decades of letting the bread be his guide and business partner.
Push it forward into other hands and, create sustainability in the community.
The idea of having a code is not for somebody else or someplace else or some other time. It's for each one of us. And it doesn't matter whether we're young or old, rich or poor, the color of our skin, the language that we speak. It's important we know our code, the rules that we live by, and understand that of other people. Only then can we hope to really get along, to find out how we can overcome problems together. Codes matter. Each one of us has one, and we need to understand what ours is.
They see our brand, that they know that these animals are raised with love. They've been given the very best of care, the very best of feed, the very softest hand. They know, or at least that's my goal, is when people see Delancey, that people know that Dave and I have poured our heart and soul into whatever it is.
Cindy Delancey moved from Long Island, New York to windswept Wyoming as a young woman, on her own, not knowing a soul. Now an attorney, horse breeder, wife and mother, she's seen the importance of getting everyone in the family involved. One of her 10 rules to live by is about finding a place for everyone, not only in the family, but in the community. And that includes the rodeo world. When the chute gate opens and the horse or bull comes flying out, we're all the same.
We kind of laugh. We call ourselves the Von Trapps, like the Sound of Music of rodeo, because, Dave's flagging, I'm pushing cattle, Reagan does the books, my son Bo's taking the ropes off. It's something that we all do together and really enjoy.
In the end, each of us carries a code. It might be 5 or 7 or 9 or 10 or 12 rules we live by, things that really matter to us. And the more we understand them, the easier it is to make decisions when things are good, when things are bad, when we struggle internally or struggle with life in this world. And the same is true of the people we know and love. Understanding what matters to them lets us understand them better and also help them to make better decisions about their lives.
Sharp, bright, fast, contrasty, colorful, real, genuine. That's at least what I hope they're saying.
Okay, well,
that's what I like to say.
I want to add another word.
Okay.
And that is energy.
You need that fast-paced energy, but then you also have to slow it down with some, with show a person in their element, show some fear maybe, show whatever it is. There is some storytelling that you also have to show.
In a world where it's increasingly easy to take great pictures, photographer Liam Doran has persevered in shooting still and film images his way, with technical standards and a visual aesthetic that avoids mimicry of others. Liam's advice: know what matters to you, chart your own course, take your chances on standing strong upon what you believe. That's carrying a destiny-defining code with rules that you've adopted as your own.
Sometimes you get the cover or you get, 6 or 8 pages. There's a massive amount of gratification that comes from seeing your work go from the planning stage to the shooting stage to the editing all the way into print, and to see it laid out is a really, really amazing thing. And I still get off on it.